Demand more. Get Allmax.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Brandon Beckrich. We're here with video 4 of the Big B Super Heavy Road to Junior Nats. Last video we shot back, talked a little bit about food prep, my exact diet leading into the Junior Nationals this year, a little bit about macronutrients and what it takes as far as food portioning goes leading into a competition. Today, we just did a chest workout. Today's focus basically is going to be showing you some different techniques, the way I do form and technique as far as chest goes. I'm going to give some examples on some intricacies that I find to be a little bit more effective during certain movements. First movement of the day, started off with dumbbell incline presses. I always start off with a compound movement, particularly press. I'll alternate between dumbbell and barbell, so today I did dumbbells. My technique, or my form or methodology, I guess you would say, is usually high volume. Recently I've been going a little bit heavier in the beginning of my exercise routine, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of lighten up the weight and I'll do a lot more volume. So I like to really start off my movements heavy and just really start to pound out and get a good hormonal response, and then from the rest of the workout I just push as much blood as much as I can into the muscle. So we started off with the dumbbell inclines. I got up to 135. My reps weren't really that high here, but I kept the tension on the muscle as much as I could. So as I was pushing up, I might not have been going up all the way, but I was going all the way down and keeping a constant control on the weight as the entire time. The very last set, I did a drop set. I dropped down to 50s and did a full range of motion and just really squeezed and got a good contraction at the top, and I really felt a good connection. I really got a lot of blood in there. I always stretch in between my sets just to keep the muscle elongated and keep the blood going in there. That's going to prevent you from injury, and it's also going to keep the muscle very pliable. So that's very important, stretching in between your sets. One of the big things that a lot of people do on incline movements, they tend to feel in their shoulders, is that they have a flat back. One of the things that I do is I roll my shoulder blades back, pushing my chest out, and on the way down, instead of using my arms to lower the weight, I actually pinch my shoulder blades back. So what happens is it takes my shoulders out of it. By pinching my shoulder blades, it opens up my chest, and from there, I push up, basically pushing my humerus bones together like so, and that's going to give you a good solid contraction, keeping your triceps and your shoulders out of the movement. Second movement, cable crossovers. This was a movement that I see a lot of guys. They usually put the cable pulleys as high up as they can, and more often than not I hear a lot of people again feeling this in their shoulders. One of the best things you can do is actually lower the pulley down a little bit, because if the pulleys are up really high, you think if you're going back like this and the angle of the cable is much higher, the strain is going to go on the shoulder. So you actually want to have the cable going in line with your forearm and your elbow. That's basically going to be keeping you behind the weight, keeping a constant tension on the chest. Same thing again here. When I come back, I try to keep my elbows a little bit higher. That being said, because it's going to keep the tension on the chest. As soon as you bring your hand up this way and you open up, it's going to put a lot of tension on the shoulder. So you always want to have your elbows a little bit higher up to keep the tension on the chest and not the shoulder. When you reach, you want to reach out as far as you can to get a contraction. I literally try to lock my arms out as much, so the farther out you go, the more tension that goes on the chest. The third movement was a form of hammer strength flat press. I used to do this movement a lot, and I would do it the normal, regular way, I guess, where your feet were at the bottom and doing it this way. But I never really got a good squeeze with it. It just fell backwards. So I actually decided to turn around the other way. I would put my feet over, and I actually angle my wrist out. And this way, when I'm coming down, it actually forces my elbows outside. So on the way down, I'm really getting a good stretch down, and I can squeeze. Just the contraction I get is unreal. So it's a little bit unorthodox, but I feel a lot more than I do the other way. So that's what I do with that. Like I said, again, I roll the shoulder blades back. When I'm coming down, I pinch my shoulder blades back together. That automatically opens up my chest. And when I'm pushing up, I push my chest out, and basically pushing my humerus bones, my biceps, together as much as I can to try to get a good squeeze to the top. There are some sets where I might not get as many reps as I can, and since I train solo, I'll usually resort to partial reps, which is just keeping the tension on the chest as much as possible. That particular movement, it's not exactly easy to get out of, so rather than pulling myself out of there, pulling off the weights, hopping back in, and trying to rep them out, I'll just stick with partial reps as much as I can and keep the tension on the chest. All right, fourth movement, dumbbell incline flies. I went a little bit lighter on these. I really just want to get a good squeeze to the top, good stretch, nice control. I think I only went up to 50 or 55s. Typically I go a little bit heavier, 75, 80. Really just depends on the day and how I'm feeling today, but I felt every one of them today with the 50. So, you know, keep that in mind that you don't necessarily always have to go heavy. It's all about how you feel. You always want to get that contraction. If you're using such a heavy weight to where you can't control it, or you're recruiting other muscle groups to push the weight up, you might want to lighten the weight and really focus on hitting that targeted muscle as much as you possibly can. So I did the 50, 55s of these, and again, I push the chest out, I roll my shoulder blades back, and when I'm all the way up to start, the farther out I am, or farther up rather, the more I'm going to be able to squeeze and contract my chest. So when I'm coming down, I bend my elbows, I pinch my shoulder blades, I get a nice pause at the bottom, what I call a static stretch, feel the tension on the chest, and when I start to come up, I actually go straight up as much as I can. That way, when I get up to the top, I get a really good contraction here, and I'll actually almost hunch just a little bit, because the farther I reach, the more contraction I'm going to be able to get. It's not to be confused with overextending, because that's going to put tension on the shoulder, but it's just a little bit, almost where I flatten my back the last couple inches of the movement. So again, when you're coming down, elbows out, pinch the shoulder blades, reach straight up as far as you can, squeeze the chest. All right, lastly, this movement that we did was a Cybex Machine. One of the things I'm trying to focus on, maybe a weak point of mine, is I've got a thicker outer chest, a little bit of a thicker upper chest, but I'm really trying to develop a little bit more thickness in the middle of my chest, and I've always felt that that's been difficult for me to attain. So this particular movement, what I do is I have a little bit more of a neutral grip, and the range of motion is a little bit shorter. And what I do is I'm actually upright. Rather than pushing my chest out like the previous movements that I did, I actually just let my elbows bend. I don't have any movement in my shoulders at all, because I want to keep my shoulders out of it because of my positioning with my torso. If I came all the way back and I was pushing, a lot would be on my shoulders. So what I do here is I come back, I let my elbows bend, and I'm not even going all the way back, and I'm just able to squeeze. And basically, almost like I'm trying to push my elbows together. And the contraction I get on this guy it's awesome. And like I said, I feel all in the middle of my chest, and the farther out you go, again, the farther the weight is, the more tension that's on the chest. So with this, I mean, you can see in the video here that I'm really pushing out and I'm really trying to squeeze as much as I possibly can on this movement. I don't go real heavy, I go for contraction, I go for volume, you know, just to push as much blood as air as I can. All right, guys, that's it for video 4. Thanks for coming and tuning in. Next video, we're gonna probably hit some legs, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about contest prep, setting realistic goals, how to lose body fat, and a couple other little things on how to set goals as far as if you're gonna be preparing for a competition. Also, I'd like to invite you to bodybuilding.com. We set up a Q&A on the forums there. I'll be answering questions that you may have regarding all the videos that we've been shooting up until now and leading up into the shows. The top 3 questions that we have on this forum for each video is going to win a Allmax sample kit. So you can click on the link below here, and if you have any questions, I'll be the ones answering them, and hope to see you there, and we'll see you guys next time.